The dermocosmetics market is booming from 43 billion US dollars in 2024 to nearly 95 billion US dollars in 7 years, led by Asia Pacific and strong skincare demand. To know more about this, we have Kinshan Chan from Mintel and Pia Fisher of WGSN. Welcome, Pia and Kinshan. Let's start with why this is happening. What's behind this rapid market growth?
It's a good one. I mean, consumers today are actually highly functional driven, right? So they are looking for skincare that is both effective and trustworthy, and dermocosmetic actually fits squarely into this space. I think offering science-backed solutions for real skin concerns. I think in our recent 2026 beauty and personal care predictions, we highlighted the rise of metabolic beauty, where holistic health increasingly informs beauty innovation. I think based on our research, we see that 61% of South Korean consumers actually take a preventative approach towards skincare, such as using SPF, and also highlights the potential for dermocosmetic innovation in supporting proactive, health-oriented routines.
We've predicted the rise of dermocosmetics from as early as 2022, specifically, where we saw kind of a rise in Chinese dermo brands or functional dermo brands really rise. And this growth is fueled by a consumer base that is highly educated now about ingredients. They really value scientific proof. They seek efficacy and safety across all of their products. And this type of consumer, we've coined a name for them as the skin intellectuals, because they truly are very clued up on everything about their skincare. And we kind of always look at trends and how they evolve. And we expect that this market, as it continues, will be heavily influenced by the aesthetics market. So this is where like non-surgical, where minimally invasive procedures will kind of gain traction and inspire the at-home market. So this is where traditional injectables, things like Botox and fillers, will actually lead in the next generation of ingredient-led skincare products as well.
Now that you've mentioned innovations, can you also tell us what specific innovations are brands focusing on in the market currently?
We are forecasting the rise in next-gen treatment ingredients as brands look to really bridge the gap between clinical efficacy and their cosmetic care. So here we can expect ingredients like PDRN, like EGF, epidermal growth factors, things like exosomes, microneedling inspired spicules, which we've all seen kind of in aesthetic clinics, but we can see those kind of lead innovation in the at-home topical skincare market, and this will really drive a new generation of longevity and repair formulations. And then, interestingly, in color cosmetics, we're also expecting innovation to evolve through those clinical products. So we're expecting the rise of what we're calling no-tox makeup. So this is aesthetics-inspired formulas that really plump the skin, that sculpt the skin and smooth it without the need for invasive procedures. And then beyond aesthetics, we expect collagen banking to really guide innovation in your ingredients category. And then finally, I think an interesting area maybe to mention, kind of adjacent area, will be our clinical alternative ingredients. So this is innovation for consumers that want the really efficacious results. They're still looking to mimic those treatment results, but they're looking for more natural products that they view as safe for the skin.
I think this is a very interesting one. I think if we look at the market as a whole, I think the underlying focus, it's really still on targeted benefits across different skin contours. I think if I look at different regions, so for example, Korea, you see Medicube's Deep Vita C syrup, which emphasizes brightening, but it also communicates ingredient freshness through their liposome encapsulation, which actually resonates very well with consumer perception. Similarly, if I take into one of L'Oreal's recent acquisition, the Medic 8's Crystal Retina, which offer varying degree of intensity making potent retinols actually accessible even for sensitive skin consumers, and effectively challenging the idea that sensitive skin cannot actually tolerate high performance ingredients. So overall, I think brands are really innovating to deliver efficacy while addressing nuanced consumer expectations in that sense.
So, with the rise of such trends, products, and even brands, how are companies addressing rising competition and market saturation risks?
This is a good one. I think, of course, we are seeing more advanced actives. I think biotech is something that brands are exploring more into. We see this taking shape fast. I think one of a good example is L'Oreal's invested brand, the Nate skincare, and they have this biotech ingredient, naringenin, and consumers will always yearn for the next niacinamide, peptides, etc. And I think how this biotech is really a conversation of possibility for brands to really come up with new ingredients, new stories that fit the narrative and also meet increasing consumer expectations. Secondly, I think what's more important, it's also around authenticity and education. I'm not sure if you guys have watched, but the recent campaign from DCM or The Ordinary called the Periodic Favor, where they cleverly actually debunk some of the most common skincare myths. So my personal favorite actually highlights the limits of actually the pore erasing claim, showing that while skincare can't literally erase pores, facts can be blurred. And I think this approach really underscores the growing need for brands to be more transparent about both the promise and limitation of their products. I think helping them build trust and stand out in a crowded market.
Globally, we're seeing a real cost of living crisis. This really means that brands and companies in the beauty industry have to double down on their added value, even if they're in the luxury price points. So this means kind of focusing on those multi-benefit products, those hybrid products that deliver a range of results. So like maybe an anti-aging, maybe a barrier repair, all in a single formulation. And this will really appeal to those consumers that value simplicity and efficacy. Brands can also look at reprioritizing education and community engagement. So really leveraging that expert-led content, tutorials, and really authentic community building. So taking on consumer feedback to kind of rebuild and reposition their products so that they continue to be relevant in this really saturated market. And I think it's really interesting to see the makeup category leading here. So we know that there's a saturation of short form content, particularly in makeup. And we predict that this kind of recalibration of the market will see consumers and brands return to long form content. So here, makeup artists will lead as the category experts. So makeup artist-led design of products, but also of content is a really interesting way to differentiate yourself and to double down as experts and add value in the field.
Thank you so much for these helpful insights, Kenshin and Pia.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Once again, those were Kenshin Chen, Associate Director, Beauty and Personal Care at Asia Pacific at Mintel, and Pia Fisher, Senior Beauty Strategist at WGSN. For more news, visit retailasia.com.